I know it's been a while and more on that at the end of this video, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SimTour Project episode 14, a series where I'm showing off these sim racing setups to my viewers and hoping to give you all inspiration regarding all this hobby has to offer. Today's episode has a little bit of everything, so sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. Starting off strong and coming all the way from Finland, we have Billy, a 22-year-old mechanical engineering student who has been sim racing for around 13 years, originally starting with his dad's Logitech Driving Force Pro at 9 years old. Without the PC, he estimates his setup costs around $4,000, so let's take a closer look at everything. Starting with his wheelbase, Billy is rocking the Moza R12 base alongside a third-party 350mm rim attached with a Moza quick release. Next to the wheel and used as a button box is the handy Elgato Stream Deck, and on the other side of that, the most essential, a SimLab cup holder. Talking about SimLab, they created the integrated single monitor mount, which is holding up a 32-inch Samsung 144Hz gaming display. Though choosing to go with Moza for the wheelbase, Billy went with FANATEC for nearly everything else, as he's using the FANATEC clutch sport shifter and CSL load cell pedals outfitted with the metallic pedal faces. Primarily a drifter, a handbrake is essential for Billy's setup, and for that he's gone with the Moza HBP handbrake. Holding everything up, he doesn't remember the name of his aluminum profile cockpit as he bought it from a small company, but to sit he's got the QSP bucket seat, which looks absolutely menacing. Of course, powering everything, he's got a custom-built PC with an NVIDIA RTX 3080, an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, and 16GB of RAM. Overall, I like the simplicity of this setup, which also has some nice touches like a custom LEGO wide-body Porsche, a 3D printer, and a vintage F1 poster. All in all, a very practical and minimal setup. Thank you, Billy, for submitting. And next up, with an extremely unique setup, we have Adam, a 34-year-old from the United States who works as an account manager and a part-time race marshal. It has taken him around 2 years and an estimated $6,500 to get the setup to where it is today, so let's get started. Holding everything up, Adam is using the GT Omega Prime with several Trak Racer accessories such as the keyboard and mouse holder, the PC shelf, and the Tier 1 universal mounting plate. He claims that his seat is extremely comfortable, and it probably is, as it's taken directly from a total Dodge Challenger Scat Pack he found in the junkyard. The main talking point of this entire setup will of course be his monitor arrangement. Held up using a GT Omega freestanding quad monitor stand, Adam has a 49-inch Samsung CRG9 Super Ultra Wide as his main display, with two 27-inch Acer monitors on either side. If that wasn't enough, a fourth monitor sits on top, that being a 34-inch Dell Ultra Wide. I can't even imagine how hard setting this up in game must have been, but he somehow managed to do so. As per his peripherals, he of course has some serious bit of gear, starting with the AccuForce V2 Pro wheelbase, which he pairs with an AccuForce Alcantara oval and a D-shaped wheel. On the left hand side of his wheelbase sits the butt kicker control box, a Stream Deck once again serving as a button box, and a tablet displaying important telemetry information. On his right hand side is the handy SHH Newt shifter, and as for his pedals, those would be the VRS Direct Drive Force Pro. Adam streams on Twitch mainly as he races stock cars on iRacing, so he has lights and a mic held up on a boom arm to make that all possible. He has also done a great job with cable management, as from the front view, nearly none are visible. Of course, you need a serious PC to power all of this, and for that, Adam has gone with the NVIDIA RTX 3070 Founders Edition, Ryzen 5800X, and 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RGB RAM, all housed in a Corsair 5000D case. Apart from just his setup, Adam has quite the man cave, just take a look for yourself. Very cool stuff, and thank you Adam for submitting. And next up, with a practical ultra-wide setup, we have Doug, a 27-year-old technical analyst from the States who has spent around $5,000 and 2 years getting this setup to where it is today. Doug's setup is composed of a SimLab P1X aluminum profile chassis fitted with a GT Omega XLRS bucket seat. A slightly jerry-rigged SimLab single monitor stand also holds up his large 49-inch super ultra-wide gaming display with a smaller 27-inch Acer monitor on top. As for his wheelbase, he's rocking the SimiCube 2 Pro alongside a FANATEC McLaren GT3 rim with a custom adapter mod, as well as a Momo 330mm for different types of driving. Around his wheelbase, he also has an assortment of cool gear like a flag indicator, a Samsung tablet to show telemetry information, and a large button box he got off AliExpress. For added immersion, he also has Philips Hue lights as well as bass shakers attached onto his chassis. And of course, we can't forget about the pedals. Those would be the Huizenbelt Sprint with EP Labs carbon fiber pedal faces for added horsepower. Of course, powering all of this, Doug's got a Radeon 6600 XT, Ryzen 5 5600X, and 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RAM. This setup could use some more work in the cable management department, but all in all, it's a very practical and good looking sim. Thank you, Adam, for submitting. And up next, with another minimalist single screen setup, we have Muhammad. He's a 22-year-old self-proclaimed Sigma male from Qatar who is currently studying computer science in university. Starting off, he's got the Next Level Racing GT Trak, which funny enough was one of my earliest rigs, which I miss very much. Unlike other submissions in this episode, he does not have a dedicated single monitor stand. Instead, he has his 32-inch Samsung Odyssey G5 wall mounted and perfectly aligned with the rest of his rig. When he wants even more immersion though, he also has a Meta Quest 2 at his disposal. As for his sim racing peripherals, he has gone mostly with Moza as he's rocking the R9 V2 wheelbase, Moza GS V2 and RS rims, as well as a FANATEC Porsche 911 GT3 and Momo R1908 rim for different driving disciplines. Down below, he also continues with the Moza ecosystem as he's rocking the affordable CRP pedals. Clearly, he does a lot of drifting, and to facilitate that, he's using the Moza HGP handbrake paired with the FANATEC clutch port shifter on its side. He also has a very simple Sim Racing For You button box right next to his wheelbase, which looks of very nice quality. Some of you may have spotted his PC, which is hidden behind his monitor. That monster is composed of an NVIDIA RTX 4080, Intel i7-13700KF, and 64GB of DDR4 RAM, all housed in an NZXT H710 case. Overall, an extremely simple and clean Sim Racing setup. Thank you very much, Muhammad, for submitting. And ending off the episode, we have Theo, but unfortunately all but 2 of the photos he sent for some reason were corrupted, so all you can see is this. Okay. Very cool setup, but leave an F in the comments for Theo, please. Now, for those of you wondering why it's been so long since the last SimTour project video, well, that's because the hard drive which housed every single submission for this series no longer works, and as such, I lost them all. Now, moving forward, if you are interested in submitting your setup to the show, please follow the instructions clearly outlined on this video, but don't worry about individually naming every single image by number, as I previously required. This should save a lot of time on your end. And to all of you who did submit and never saw your setup on the show, I am very sorry, but moving forward, I'll be sure to keep copies of all submissions to prevent it from happening again. That all being said, as always, thank you all for watching, stay safe, and have a fantastic rest of your day.